I have to apologize to LSU. There's no two ways about this. LSU beat Arkansas 34-10 yesterday. I did doubt LSU. I did. I thought Arkansas would win. LSU won a 2 out of 5 game. So it wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing game for the rest of the country, but for LSU fans, whew, this is beautiful. This was a really tough spot for them. It's the most important result for LSU all year. I can't overstate how impressive this was, all things considered. So last week, they beat Ole Miss. And if you're watching the show, you may think, oh, Josh, you must have forgotten about the Ole Miss game. Clearly, that's the most impressive and important result all year. No, I meant what I said. Winning that game last week was impressive, but also dynamics-wise, they had Ole Miss in a tough spot. Arkansas had them in a tough spot here. Arkansas is the one that's rested with a ton of momentum going into their bye week. And then LSU, off an overtime game against Ole Miss, they got to fly up there to Northwest Arkansas in a game that's already given them nightmares over the years, and it's just never in doubt. And it wasn't Garrett Nussmeier throwing the ball all over the place and them outscoring Arkansas. It was running the ball. It was playing defense. This defensive staff, if there's a staff award for a side of the ball out there, it has to go to LSU right now. It's more than just Blake Baker. It's the entire defensive staff. So I'm going to give you a padlock stat. Here it is. Arkansas got outrushed 158-38. That's LSU winning a game in a different dimension than you would expect them to have to win a game. You would expect going into this thing, if they're going to beat Arkansas or just win a game, period, that they probably won't run the ball all that well, but that's okay because the passing game will come alive. The passing game is there. It is there in spots. Hopefully it becomes more consistent, but they know it's there. But to know that they can get something on the ground now and to know this defense continues to improve, that's how you eliminate the external factors. A lesser LSU team, the LSU team that I thought would show up, was going to let the environment get the better of them. It was going to let the fact that I'm playing a rested conference opponent get the better of me. But the way you eliminate all that stuff is you just play that much better. You take all that stuff out of the equation. You go up. What did they? They have a 2-score lead pretty early in this game. You get pressure on the quarterback. You give up no explosives. Whit Weeks at linebacker, man. I don't know who gets the player of the week honors in the SEC. I never really pay attention to that, but he's got to be in there. They stop the run. They play so much more physical and fundamentally sound defensively this year than they did last year. And the crazy part is it's some of the same players, which just goes to show you yet again, when we make such a big deal about guys being hired, this is why. Because that's the difference in having a quality coaching staff versus what LSU had on that side of the ball last year. LSU, I'm telling you, they may have been the biggest winner of this weekend because I want you to think about something. So you've got a team rounding into form. You've got a team adding layers of dependability to itself. They shut down a team that's given them fits over the years. There was nothing flukish about it. They didn't need +3 or +4 turnovers to do it. It's the best the defense has looked all season. They are undefeated in conference play. I don't think a lot of folks realize that. Their loss was out of conference. So they're undefeated. Them and Texas A&M, those are the only two teams who were undefeated in SEC play. No one mentions either one of them. It's all Georgia, Texas right now. And they're not even leading the conference. It's A&M and LSU who ironically play each other this weekend. Just circle that one with the red Sharpie. Texas lost yesterday. Bama lost again, and you get Bama in Tiger Stadium in a couple of weeks, and your remaining schedule is at A&M. You're favored there. Against Bama, you will be favored. You're at Florida, Vandy, and OU, who couldn't score an offensive touchdown if you let them play until Thursday. So what could LSU do now? LSU's not a one-trick pony anymore. What could LSU do now? Everyone will dip at some point this year. There is no perfect team. There's no flawless team. So everyone, you can assume, is going to have at least one dip. The teams that make the playoff will have at least one dip this year. Where's the dip? We may have already seen LSU's. You're seeing Bama in their dip now. You've got some teams that are less confident in who they are now than they were 5 weeks ago. LSU's gaining confidence. Now, you don't want to peak too early, or conversely, just be a team that peaks a bunch of times. That's nice too. But even if you're a flawed team, get your dip out of the way and then hit your stride at the right time. You remember the South Carolina game? We were there. We were there when LSU came from behind. They beat South Carolina, and Brian Kelly's in the postgame press conference, and he looked like he had coached 5 games that afternoon. And I remember how disheveled he looked. and how I at the time said it looks like a guy who just spent the entire afternoon trying to plug 13 holes in a dam with 10 fingers and somehow figured it out. And it was so amazing to watch a guy who had just won a game know how much they had to fix about that team. Well, you know what? They fixed a lot about that team, which is crazy because that was only 2 games ago. The South Carolina game was only 2 or 3 games ago. No, it was 4 games ago. I was looking at South Alabama. Okay, so it was a little bit further back than that. My point remains, coaching staff's doing a really good job here. That defensive coaching staff especially is doing a really good job here. LSU, a few someones in this sport will get hot by Halloween. Halloween hot, as Meemaw would call it. And then they'll roll into November, and they'll be the team that was vulnerable early in the year that all of a sudden you don't want to play. No reason at all why that couldn't be and won't be LSU